Welcome to today's Explainer. You know that awful, suffocating chest anxiety right at the end of the month? That nagging fear of, are we actually going to make it to the first? Well, if you've ever felt that, this is literally made for you. Today, we're unpacking a really brilliant approach from Steve Green's book, Financial Health in the 30 Steps, From Debt Chaos to a Balanced Budget. Specifically, we're zeroing in on what he calls the two-paycheck system. And look, I want to establish something super important right out of the gate. Living paycheck to paycheck and all that stress that comes with it, it's usually a structural issue, not some personal failure on your part. Seriously. So this is really a story about how you can transition from absolute financial chaos to complete calming predictability.
Okay, let's dive into this. You know how traditional advice always sells us on this illusion of the perfect monthly budget? I mean, it looks fantastic on paper, right? Clean little categories, neat totals. It creates this totally uplifting illusion that our money just arrives on the first of the month and politely waits around for us to spend it. But man, the painful reality of real life is just so different. Your paycheck hits the account and then boom, bills suddenly attack. You gotta buy groceries, maybe a random car repair pops up, and suddenly it's like day 17 and your bank account is totally hibernating. That collision between the illusion we're sold and our painful reality, that right there is the primary source of your stress.
So here's the step-by-step roadmap for how we're going to fix this. 1. Finding your paycheck rhythm. 2. Building your highway lanes. 3. The holding zone strategy. 4. Creating a mid-cycle checkpoint habit. And finally, number 5, your personal financial peace checklist. Starting off with Section 1, Finding your paycheck rhythm. Shifting from panic to planning.
So to break out of this whole cycle of panic, we basically need to completely rewire how we think about budgeting. Studies actually show it's not just about your total income, it's the timing. It's how that timing clashes with your bill deadlines that literally triggers your nervous system's threat mode. When we operate in reactive spending, we're really just trying to survive day to day. Bills hit early and boom, instant panic. But when we transition over to conscious planning, we drastically cut down on that uncertainty. We stop thinking, okay, I have X amount of money for the whole month. And we start thinking, I have paycheck A and I have paycheck B. And each one has its own specific secret mission. Assigning very specific jobs to each paycheck is absolutely crucial. It's the first real step to finally lifting that massive weight off your shoulders.
Now, the big takeaway here is that your budget has to be based on truth, not imagination. And getting to that truth, it takes exactly 5 minutes. Step 1, just write down the actual exact dates your money will land in your account next month. Step 2, note the frequency. Is it biweekly, semi-monthly? Just jot it down. And step 3, write down your average paycheck amount. I know, it sounds incredibly simple, right? But without this brutally honest, super fast diagnosis, any plan you try to make is just going to collapse the second it hits reality.
Which brings us to Section 2, Building your highway lanes, segmenting the month.
And this brilliantly illustrates how we should actually treat our money. Once you've got your rhythm locked down, it's time to segment the month. So instead of just throwing every single expense onto one giant, overwhelming list, we're going to chop the month in half. Paycheck number 1 gets its own mission. For example, maybe it covers rent, utilities, and your groceries for the first 15 days of the month. Then, paycheck number 2 gets a totally different mission, handling the remaining bills, attacking some debt, and funding your sinking categories. What we're doing here is creating separate highway lanes for our money. This way, your electricity bill doesn't crash head-on into your movie ticket budget. By separating things out like this, we really reduce cognitive overload. You don't have to stress about the whole month all at once. You just focus on the next 2 weeks.
Now, you're probably thinking, okay, that sounds great, but what about the stuff I just can't predict? You know, a broken washing machine, unexpected meds, a sudden trip to the vet? Well, the answer is pretty simple. We give them their own lane on our highway, too. Every single paycheck plan needs to include a buffer, or an irregular fund. Even if it's just a tiny amount, having it there ensures that when life inevitably throws a curveball, your whole system doesn't just break down. There's no need to panic. You just tap into the lane you specifically set up for it.
Let's move to Section 3, the holding zone strategy, protecting your bill money.
Okay, having a plan is one thing, but reality is another, right? We need to put up physical guardrails so we don't accidentally spend the cash we just carefully assigned to those jobs. And that's exactly where the holding zone comes into play. So what is it? Well, in the simplest terms, it's just a separate space. Could be a second checking account, a savings account, or a digital envelope. But it is used strictly for one purpose, parking your bill money the very second your paycheck arrives. The absolute key here is you do not keep everything mixed together in one giant bucket.
So why does this work such absolute wonders for our peace of mind? Well, think about it like this. Imagine throwing all your clean and dirty laundry into the exact same basket, and then frantically trying to dig out a clean pair of socks in the dark. It's frustrating, right? But we do the exact same thing with our money when we keep it all in one account. Separation ensures you keep your daily living expenses far away from your fixed must-pay obligations. The system literally remembers things for you so you don't accidentally blow your utility money on a dinner out. When you log into your main account, you're only seeing the money that's actually safe to spend. The emotional relief this brings is just immense. That suffocating constant fear of making a mistake, it basically just vanishes.
All right, Section 4, Mid-Cycle Checkpoint Habit. Small cycles reduce errors.
Okay, so we've got our plan and our protection in place, but we need a way to keep it moving without, obsessively tracking every single penny. Living by a traditional monthly budget usually means doing this massive, super stressful audit at the very end of the month, when it's way too late to actually fix anything. So instead, we shorten the cycle. When payday hits, we move our money into the holding zone. Then, right around day 3, we do a really quick mid-cycle checkpoint. We just review our spending for those first few days. It's exactly like glancing down at your GPS while you're driving. You're just making a tiny little course correction before you get totally lost and end up in a crisis. These small budget cycles drastically reduce the chances of making big errors.
Now, what's really interesting about this slide is a powerful little psychological trick from Green's book. Give your system a name. I know, it might sound kind of funny, but naming it, calling it something like Paycheck Pilot Mode or the Calm Cash Flow Plan, it gives you this unbelievable sense of ownership and control. Your money stops being this intimidating thing that just happens to you. It becomes your own designated project that you are actively managing. And for sure, this builds incredible confidence, especially if you've previously felt kind of helpless when it comes to your finances.
Finally, Section 5, your financial peace checklist. Getting started today.
As we wrap up this explainer, I really want to pull all of this together into a concrete, super actionable summary for you. So here is your beginner's checklist to get started literally today. First, identify your pay pattern. Know the exact dates and amounts hitting your account. Second, ruthlessly split those bills into 2 halves of the month, days 1 through 15 and day 16 to the end. Third, assign very specific jobs to paychecks 1 and 2. Remember, every single penny gets a mission. Fourth, set up that secure holding zone in your bank. And fifth, schedule that quick day 3 checkpoint on your phone. Seriously, these 5 simple steps are the only thing standing between you living in financial chaos and becoming the architect of your own peace.
I want to conclude with this incredibly powerful quote from Steve Green. A budget works best when it follows your paycheck rhythm, not the calendar. Just think about that for a second. The whole system we've outlined today doesn't require you to magically start making $1 million. It just requires synchronizing your plans with reality. So I'll leave you with this one provocative question for today. What would it feel like, and how much would your life change if you never had to experience that gut-wrenching, mid-month financial panic ever again? Well, you now have the tools to make that vision a reality. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer, and I'll catch you next time.